I'm Andrew Luftglass alongside Brian McLaughlin, and we are joined by the Indians' second pick in this year's draft. The Indians took Tanner Burns out of Auburn University with the 36th overall selection. So, Tanner, first of all, where are you and how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Last couple of days, last week, been, kind of stressful, but I feel like I've been telling everybody I had like a 10-pound vest on and, I got to take it off. And, I'm stress-free. I live in Decatur, Alabama, born and raised, and that's where I'm at right now.
So after the Indians took you, what have the last couple of days to almost a week now been like, and what is next for you? The Indians have been in contact with you. What have they told you to do next?
All I know right now, they called me this morning, and I will be flying up to Cleveland tomorrow, and I guess I'm doing a physical or whatever. I really don't know. It's my first rodeo too. I really don't know what to expect, and I'm gonna come home Friday, so I know I'm gonna be there Wednesday, Friday, and that's really all I know. I haven't talked to him since Wednesday. I talked to him Wednesday night when I got picked, and then today. So that's really all I know.
Has it been too early for you to talk with the pitching group? They haven't given you a plan of attack for what to do with the throwing program or anything like that?
No. I really haven't talked to anybody. I talked to Mason Hickman. He got drafted too from Vanderbilt. He's a good buddy of mine. But I kind of like to stay on a routine. My pitching coach at Auburn is Tim Hudson, and he pitched 17 years in big leagues. And we kind of have our own little routine going on right now. Like I pitch on Friday, so I'd be pitching on Friday. Like every day, there's something I got to do, and that's what I've been keeping up with that.
Now, I saw you spoke with the Indians press corps earlier this week, and you mentioned that one of your the Indians Zoom call leading up to the draft was really one of the best Zoom calls that you had with teams. Could you shed a little light on what made that? And you don't have to give details if you don't want to, but shed some light on what made that Zoom call with the Indians a good one.
I would say just – I talked to all of them, and, just something about Cleveland, stood out. They felt real. That I don't know if that explains a lot, but, you can't talk to people and, I don't really know truly if that's what they mean. But talking to, those guys, they just felt real. And I was like, that was a good phone call, and I could see myself pitching for Cleveland, and that was the last thing when I hung up on my computer. I was like, that was good. And then a couple days later, they take me. So I thought it was a good phone call. I guess it was.
One of the things that the Indians are well known for, well regarded for, is the athletic training and medical staff. So you're coming off of the shoulder issues that you talked about on that same press call. And I'm curious about two things. Number one, what have your early impressions been, or what have you heard about the Indians medical staff helping you out with that? And two, because you had also mentioned on that press conference call about how you found out that dehydration was a factor in your injury, and that you've done a much better job in your workouts, your sleep, your nutrition. What sort of things have you heard about the Indians athletic training staff, because they're also well known for doing a good job with those things with nutrition and self-care?
Yeah. So you see guys, they draft and they work them up, and they're doing something right. They're telling, their prospects and players, like, this is what you need to do to get to the big leagues, and they're having success at it. So that's a plus for me. I feel like everything happens for a reason, and that reason was, last year of, having to miss a couple starts was, I was dehydrated, and, taking care of my body, that's what I'm going to have to continue to do to pitch longer and make a career out of it. So I feel like that was a big lesson for me, and I'm kind of glad it happened, last year, because now I know what to do for my body. Like I said, those little things like sleep. Is your body recovering? What are you putting in your body, nutrition, to make you recover faster for each start? Are you drinking enough water? I know that sounds so silly, but, those little things turn into big things, and you need a little of everything, so you can go and pitch to the best of your ability each fifth day, and learning that, I would say at an early age, I wouldn't say I'm old, or I wouldn't say I'm young either, but in college, before my professional career starts, I think that was a good learning lesson for me.
In a similar kind of line, this spring had to be weird then, because your routine gets thrown out the window. Even though you're healthy, you're not pitching in real games. What was this spring like in trying to keep with that routine?
It was crazy because I feel like, in my opinion, the SEC baseball is the best conference, I think, in college baseball. Others might think different. But we were about to start against Texas A&M that Friday, and Coach Thompson, Auburn's head coach, told us, y'all are going home. And I thought it was a joke at first, because spring break was happening, and I thought we were going to come back in about 2 or 3 weeks. So I was getting my mind ready, to start, and then we didn't come back. And I've just continued to stay on my routine, like I'd be pitching every Friday. My throwing's the same. Going through the week, I do my same workouts. So it's been good, and I'm at home. And during the season, you're not really around your family. And now my mom and dad are probably like, all right, y'all ready to go now? Like, we've been around y'all for 3 months, and so it's been good being at home, working out, seeing some of my friends, and just trying to keep my arm in shape.
I know your routine was a big deal for you to develop that and keep that going throughout your college career, because you said you didn't really have one in high school. How did your routine that you kept throughout your Auburn career develop for you?
Just coming across different people and picking people's brains. So I feel like since my freshman year, I have messed with it. And then, I'm probably going to mess with it again next year, because I'm going to meet new people with, a lot more baseball knowledge. But since I've been at Auburn, I've been around Coach Thompson. I feel like he's one of the best pitching coaches in college baseball. And that was the only reason why I went to Auburn in the first place. I was an Alabama fan my whole life. I actually committed to Alabama. And I don't know, the Auburn-Alabama rival is pretty big. So
you don't say.
Yeah, I took a lot of heat, going to Auburn. So I met Coach Thompson, Gabe Gross, who played in the big leagues. He's our hitting coach. Greg Olson, who probably has one of the best curveballs in the league when he was playing. Tim Hudson, 17-year big leaguer, and then Casey Mize. So I've been around a lot of good baseball knowledge, and trying to get my routine of taking some from them. Our trainer, Anthony Sanderson, was with the Brewers, and then Chris Joyner was with the Blue Jays. So I've had a lot of resources since I've been at Auburn my 3 years, and just tinkering with what their knowledge is, and then putting it into my game. I've mixed with my routine.
Can you give us some insight day by day, Friday to Friday, what that routine looks like?
So every day is different. You got to work out certain types of muscles. I would say, the big 3 things. I got to get 8 hours of sleep. I feel like if I get more, I feel bad. If I get less, I can feel it. But there's always room. I need 8 hours. I have a smoothie every morning with blueberries, peanut butter, banana, and milk. That's every morning routine. And then my third thing is eat before every start. I have to have Subway. So those are my 3 things I got to have.
That's your Wade Boggs chicken equivalent, huh?
Right.
One thing that you mentioned before was working with all these big leaguers, and you had the truncated year with Tim Hudson, 17 years in the major leagues. What did you learn from him specifically in this last year? And are you still keeping in contact with him and learning as you go?
Yeah, I feel like we have a relationship, even though I was around him, January, 3 months, that I have a relationship with him, the rest of my life. That's the kind of guy he is. And it shows you what kind of person he is. He pitched in the big league 17 years. He wanted to be, that type of guy, but he's totally not. He's always wanting to give and help people. And I always saw in those 3 months, he's always trying to put a smile on somebody's face every time he comes in the locker room. So I'd say what he told me is, you always want to be a good person. Treat others the way you want to be treated. and, stay level headed. Don't get too high and not caught up in all that stuff, but you also don't get too low when you have a bad outing and give up 10 runs. You want to keep your head down and continue to work hard, and good things will happen. So I say that's what he's told me, kind of similar off the baseball side. And then, my throwing wise during the week, what I've learned, and I thought I kind of took it to heart, let's say if I have a good outing, I don't have to throw as much during the week because I did put in a lot of work, that day. But let's say if I didn't do good, then I can, change my throwing up each week. So instead of, throwing this much a day, you can just base it off each outing. And that's what I took the most from them.
What is a bullpen session with Tim Hudson like?
When you throw a pitch, you look around and you're like, dang, this dude, if he says it's good, it's good. Even if it's bad, it might be still good because he's been around some good pitchers. But at Auburn, we have all these cameras. So literally we have Rapsodo. I mean, we can throw a pitch, take a step off, and we have a big flat screen. We can literally dummy down everything. But it is pretty cool just picking his brain and having a pitching coach, probably a Hall of Famer behind you telling you this is what you need to do. So it is pretty cool.
You mentioned that. Go ahead, Brian.
How much do you use that data and the Rapsodo stuff with your development?
I would say, a lot, because I added a pitch with the camera. Because literally you can throw a pitch and it'll dummy down everything, like wrist, where your fingers are on the grip and everything. And, I did a spike curveball with Coach Hudson. And, the camera literally will be, I'd say 10 feet in front of you or whatever. And you can literally throw it and take a picture and just take a step off, and you can find your wrist. How's it, located? Is your finger, getting over the ball, or are you getting around it? And I'd say that's what helped me add my fourth pitch. And everything else, my changeup and slider and fastball, like it sharpens it. But I think if I wouldn't have had that, I probably wouldn't have my spike curveball.
I'm interested in that spike curveball specifically because I've heard guys talk about the difference it made for them when they just made the change of having their fingers flush on the ball to having their knuckle or their fingernail on there, because what they've said is that when you have two fingers on there, the second finger can get in the way and throw the ball off its axis. How did you find that making that little change help your curve, and how does it help your overall repertoire?
I would say, over everything else, it helped me because I was, four seam, and then change up would take off my four seam, look like my fastball. And then I had something, go down, right to left. And I wanted something to go up and down to change a hitter's eye level. And I thought that, it could be just a show me pitch. I don't think it'd be an out. Now it is an out, but, coming into the season, I thought it was just, just get me over pitch. And now I saw that, it could be dangerous. So that was the whole thing, adding that was just to change the hitter's eye level of, up and down instead of right to left. And I feel like it's helped my, my arsenal, in my game jump.
It's a different perspective for you because you live it every day, but I'm sure people have talked to you about being smaller for a pitcher. How do you feel that affects how you have to attack hitters or affects how you have to work with your own repertoire? You're not going to have the extension of a guy who's like a Mason Hickman who's 6'6". So how does that change how you pitch?
I feel like size doesn't matter because the elephant would be the ruler of the jungle. And, it really doesn't matter about that. Other pitchers got to put their socks on and, their shorts on just like me, and their jersey on just like me. So I feel like size, it can help you, for, I guess, I don't know. But I feel like, if you crush your legs, crush your core, and continue to do those little things, it's just as good as being 6'6" or 7 foot. So, everybody's always got that little things to say, but I feel like me in my heart that if I continue to do what I do and, my routine, I can still have the same success as, taller pitchers.
A little bit of a change of direction here, and this is a question that me and my friends have been talking about, different people in baseball. Obviously, some sad stuff happening with Major League Baseball and the season up in the air right now, but we've just been talking about, and I'm seeing this a lot online as well, people are talking about why they love baseball. So I'm curious, why do you love baseball?
I love to compete. Like, I love to go out there. Being a pitcher, you're lonely out there. You're in the circle, and I enjoy that. That's my happy place. And I feel happiness being on the mound and competing and trying to win pitches. And I feel like that is my happiness. And baseball, just being at the field, being around guys that love the same thing you do is my happiness. And that's why I love baseball.
In this time when we don't have the game, what are you doing to find that happiness that you find when you're on the mound?
This sounds weird, but it's not weird. I find joy of making my body and putting my body in good shape, like running, biking, working out, because I like that feeling of I'm doing things to help my body prepare myself to pitch, which is my happiness. And I find working out fun, hanging out with my family who I love, and like being around them, my girlfriend, just, hanging out with them and working out, I find, my happiness the last 3 months.
I want to go back to something you mentioned with your family. At the very beginning of this call, you said that when you got drafted, it felt like you took a 10-pound vest off of your chest. And you mentioned this on the call to the Indians press as well, that all the sacrifices your parents made, going to see your starts at Auburn and spending money on your travel ball was a big deal to you. What have your parents done to support you, and any particular sacrifices or things they did that stand out to you?
I would say, just having them in my life, I feel like my mom and dad are my best friends, even though they're my parents. And my dad was a baseball coach his whole life. He coached actually where the high school I graduated at, DeCare High School, and then Calhoun Community College. They're known for Jorge Posada. So being around baseball my whole life, being around baseball players, my brother playing with him in high school. I got to play varsity as an 8th grader on his junior, and then my freshman year, his senior year. So I got to play with my brother 2 years. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then my mom, they're two big people who played a big impact in my life. I could see the sacrifices of them. They didn't miss a start in Auburn. I saw them at Texas A&M, Arkansas, Kentucky, North Carolina, and even in Omaha. Playing with the USA team. We went to Cuba. They were in Cuba watching me. So they've made some sacrifices, to come see me play. Growing up with food, I've always had food on the table. I've had everything I wanted, clothes. So I grew up having everything because they made sacrifices of making me happy. And, thinking about it brings me happiness of, how much they love me. So one day, hopefully I can give it back to them.
So if we're at spring training next year and I see a couple people with their fingers on the chain link fence at a backfields game, that's your folks?
Oh, yeah. And they'll probably wear an Auburn shirt too.
I'm assuming you were with your family on draft day. What was your draft room like?
Oh, wow. So it was kind of unknown because I found out when everybody else found out. I saw my name. So I was really relieved, and seeing my mom and dad's face, that was awesome. My brother's face. My brother Link, he's one of my best friends. Even though we're brothers, I'm really close to my family, if you know by now. And having my girlfriend there, people that I love share the experience with me was something I'll never forget.
You make this transition now from pitching at a big college program at Auburn, where you're also near your family, to pitching in pro ball, where you're likely to be bouncing around the country. You may be pitching, who knows, sometime in if you're in the Arizona League, in front of practically nobody, right? So, this is a huge change, right? So many things to talk about there. What do you anticipate in this adjustment?
now I'm pitching. I've always treated Auburn like a job, going about my business, workouts, like I was saying. Like, I've treated it like a job, even though I'm a student athlete. I still have things to study, test for, homework and stuff like that. But I treated the baseball part like a job. So I'm just going to eliminate the study and continue to treat it. I mean, it is a job. It is my professional career now. So I can continue what I've been doing at Auburn, except I don't have to study for anything now. So that's pretty good.
Time for one or two more here. Brian, do you have one?
It's funny. You were just kind of talking there, and for a second there, you were saying, I'm going to continue to treat it like a job. And then you realize that it is your job now. So
Yeah.
you can see the love of baseball and just you're having fun with it, which I think is really important.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it is a kid's game, except it is it also is paying bills. So I think I got one of the coolest jobs.
Last one for you. I'm sure you've been asked this before, but you've been described as a workhorse, a competitor. We know all about your pitch mix now. Can you give me the scouting report of Tanner Burns on the hill? What's your demeanor, and what are Indians fans and Captains fans hopefully in the future going to see?
I'd say just two things I really need to know about me. Every pitch I'm coming at you with all I got, and I'm very competitive with it. And then the other thing, I'm going to try to win as many games as I can, like I was trying to do at Auburn. And every pitch, is going to have authority over the baseball, so I'm going to try to do. And I'm going to try to win as many games and help my team win as many games as every time I go out.
Terrific. Tanner, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank y'all.
That's Tanner Burns, the Indians' second selection, 36th overall in the 2020 draft, and hopefully we'll see him in a captain's uniform here shortly.